it's easy to give up on your dreams since we are not taught that failure is more likely to happen than success. Now, what I want to demonstrate to you, the importance of learning how to adapt and adjust. This right here is probably the secret to moving forward on any aspiration, goal, dream that you have, and absolutely always hitting the target. Now, what I want you to think about is, let's say when you were a baby and you decided that you were going to walk. I'm not going to try to draw a baby, but I will draw a little stick figure, right? You were a baby learning how to walk. Did you learn how to walk on the first try? No. You have tried hundreds, perhaps even thousands of times to walk before you were able to actually stand up, not let alone take your first step. Even now, when you walk, you think that naturally, right? And when I say you think, what I am saying is your conscious mind thinks, because it simply sees the bottom line. It just sees the result. It just sees the data, the result. Your conscious mind thinks that when you walk, every step is essentially a success. And in some ways it is. But what I want you to understand is that with every step that you make, every movement that you make, there are these micro moments of failure that is happening as you are in the process of getting to a particular result, which is a step, which is meaning a movement of your hand, grabbing the cup, grabbing the fork. Why is that? Well, in every muscle, you have these long fibers, right? And each fiber is essentially a cell. And so when your body starts moving, when your conscious mind tells your subconscious mind, right, to move, what is happening is your subconscious mind is firing off all of these random cells. And as it is doing so, you are in motion, but you are adjusting every millisecond. You are adjusting the position, how many fibers are firing off, how many are relaxing, just to basically adjust and calibrate to where you want to place your foot, how much weight you're going to place on that foot. So essentially, in this example, you are failing, okay? Because each time, each movement is simply the wrong movement. And you are adjusting as you are making that grand movement, like that whole movement, okay? You have to recognize that along this journey of life, you're going to fail more than you actually succeed. Let me give you another example if that one didn't make sense to you. Let's see. A plane, okay? Not great at drawing, as you can see, but these are the wings. This is the plane. These are the windows, blah, 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 right? When a plane is making its journey and is going from, let's say, one destination to another destination, we assume that it's going a straight line, that everything only depends on it flying from this position, this location to this location, and that it always just simply happens in one straight line. But that's not the reality of it. What is happening is the plane is doing this. Okay? It is not going in a straight line. It is just basically following the power of the engine, and it is constantly adjusting to things like the wind, the environment, the weight of the plane, right? The temperature, storms, things of that nature. Essentially, life. So when you go through and you decide, okay, you want to go from where you are now and achieve this here, what does this say? This says that the journey is not going to be a straight line. It's going to be a line of, or a journey or path of course correction. Now, the reason why I try my best to use these examples is just to give you some understanding as to what I am going to talk about today. Now, I had somebody from my YouTube channel talk about pursuing a goal, a business, say, for example, and wanting to essentially quit and let it go. Now, the issue is, we're going to say, the issue is you simply having a goal, having an ambition is not something that stands alone, right? It does not exist in isolation. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to break down to you in my own personal experiences of life and where I had to learn how to essentially adjust and adapt in order to reach my goal. Okay. Because this is what you must understand along your journey. Let's see, health, fitness, let's go with just love, relationships. Okay, we're going to just start with these three things. We're going to save the money and the business for last. Health and fitness. I've always been somebody who's relatively athletic, participated a lot in school activities, was captain of track team, captain of gymnastics team, got into martial arts. Now, I can say that I most certainly was not the best, right? I wasn't the best. But what I was disciplined. Okay? I was focused. And that's what made me captain of those teams, the gymnastics team, captain of the track team. I wasn't the fastest. I couldn't run the furthest, but I was focused on what I could do and being diligent and being ambitious and being focused on the job at hand. Gymnastics definitely was not the best, but I knew how to listen. I paid attention and I knew how to lead because I carried discipline and focus. Okay. Now, as I got into my older adult years, had children, life was lifing, got kind of, lazy, got kind of out of shape, decided I had to make a change because this is not who I know myself to be, right? And so then I decided I'm going to get into fitness, so I got into CrossFit. Why? Because I felt like it captured all the things that I was like into: track, gymnastics, and even the thing that I wasn't into, which was weightlifting, right? Olympic weightlifting in particular. So I did that, got into shape, decided to become a coach. Now I'm into running the marathons. Okay. Again, I'm not the fastest. I'm actually a very slow runner, but I love running distances. You see, this is essentially what I'm trying to get the point across here is this journey It's not about me being the best at something. This is just simply me being me following my own path. All right. Me recognizing my journey, me recognizing what works for me, what I'm interested in, and what I love, right? What I love doing and what I love for me. When it comes to marathon running, what I want you to understand is that doesn't happen overnight. Okay. And you can easily imagine that, right? You can easily imagine that I didn't just get up one day and said, you know what, I want to run a marathon. In the morning, at 4 o'clock in the morning, I'm going to run 26 miles. You understand that. You can easily understand that it took me running 1 mile. Sometimes even walking 1 mile. Run a little bit, walk a little bit, run a little bit, walk a little bit. Even now, to this day, my first 2 miles can be a good amount of walking, right? Because I'm still getting warmed up. I'm not somebody who can just go run from the beginning and just straight go run 12 miles, right? Straight without stopping. No, I still take breaks when I'm running. Some days are way better than others, but I still make sure that I make the distance. Okay. So what we're talking about here is adaptation. What we're talking about here is being fluid, is about recognizing where you are in the moment, what's happening in the moment, and what you're going to do and how you can move with the moment. If I get up one day and I'm committed and I say I'm going to run, but maybe it's extremely cold outside or, it's raining and I just don't feel like getting wet and I'm not up for it. It's raining and it's cold. I'm not up for it. It's not worth the risk of me getting sick. Therefore, what I would do is I would just simply say, okay, I'm not going to run in the morning. I'm going to run in the afternoon or in the evening. You see, you adjust. Relationships. I may come back to these things. Now, this presentation was not really planned. It was something that I was inspired by because somebody wrote an interesting comment and it kind of got to me. So I'm like, hey, let me just talk about this because the idea of you wanting to do something should not stop simply because it gets difficult. Okay. You have to look at difficulty as the opportunity, as the wake-up call that there is something within you that needs to shift. That is not, when we talk about business, it's not about, tariffs. It's not about politics, right? It's not about, whether or not, you get along with people, right? Now, people are very important. So if you find that you say something like you don't like people or you don't get along with people and you're running a business, there's a disconnection right there because every business needs people and you got to take care of the people who support your business. Now, let's go back into the list here, love and relationships. Now, relationships is very interesting. And this is another easy example of how you can see, but because we're so close to it and in it, we don't recognize it. So I'm just helping you take a step back and really observe and look at the reality of what life is telling you. How many of your relationships that you've been in throughout your whole entire life has worked out? Meaning when I say work out, we always look for relationships and we're taught, I want a relationship that's going to last forever. How many of those relationships that you've been through lasted forever? Okay, chances are none of them, perhaps maybe the one that you're currently in. That's the reality of it, right? There's nothing wrong with that. We all go through that. That's the point. So again, this is an example of you failing more than you win. Okay? You failing more than you win. What does that mean? Does that mean you're going to quit relationships? Some people do. Some people do. Or some people change the dynamic of how they get into these relationships, the nature of the relationship, right? Some people decide that, you know what, the traditional relationship, dating, engagement, marriage, children, right? Even living together at that point, some people recognize that that doesn't work for them. I'm one of those people, right? I've tried the traditional form of relationships and marriage. You date. Sometimes you go right into living with each other, live together, right? Then you get engaged. Sounds nice. Then you get married, children. Now, it doesn't have to be in any particular order, but usually that's the order we all associate with when it comes to our relationship and love. But we are all recognizing, some of us are, that it doesn't have to go this way. We can decide exactly how we want to be in a relationship. But you still have to admit, most of your relationships have failed. Meaning, you're not in that kind of relationship with them anymore. You may still be friends with the person you were romantically involved with, but you're not romantically involved with everybody that you once were involved with. Okay? So, what do? You can either stop being in relationships altogether, which for many of us means loneliness and miserable, right? Or you can just simply adjust. And you can just simply ask yourself, well, if these kind of relationships didn't work, marriage, what is it about that doesn't align with me? Or what is it about me that doesn't align with that? And then you take a real good look at yourself. And this is the thing. We get so caught up in trying to fit the status quo of what love and relationships look like, that when we recognize that we don't align with this, we feel shame and judgment. When we recognize that our ideas of health and fitness don't really align with who we are, and we're not taking our own path along the health and fitness realm, along the love and relationships realm, then we feel shame. We feel like something is wrong with us. That's the kind of programming you got to break through. So I had to ask myself, okay, maybe I'm not cut out for this. So I do want to be in a relationship. I love being in a relationship. Therefore, I just need to change the dynamic of how and what that relationship looks like. Okay. So you have to go deep within the concept. You can't just look at it face value and then blame it. What most people do, which I think is the problem and is a sign of immaturity, is they simply blame, right? They blame it on the other person. Oh, that person was crazy. Oh, that person was full of drama. Oh, that person was this. Oh, that person was abusive. But you are the one that is always there. So in every relationship that you've been in, you've always been there, meaning you are the common denominator between the problems of you and the people you've been in relationships with. Again, this is not about blame, fault, shame, or guilt. This is really about ownership. So as soon as you take ownership for what it is that you're bringing into these relationships, what it is you're bringing into your health and fitness journey, then you start to get a clearer picture. You start to get a clearer idea and picture of what you need to do, which is simply just follow you, right? Follow the path of authenticity. Like, okay, if I really tried hard enough, I'm probably not going to become a professional basketball player. That's fine, right? That's not really what I'm up to, and that's not my calling, and that's okay. I can still play basketball, and I can still train and be good at it. I'm probably not going to become a professional marathon runner in terms of beating and being top of the podium, first place, second place, third place. because that's just not what I'm interested in. I'm not interested in that kind of training. I enjoy marathons, but I'm not interested in pushing myself to that point. Relationships. I love being in a relationship, but I don't like being in a relationship where both people feel like they have to compromise, right? Meaning that I had to give up a part of myself to appease them, and they have to give up a part of themselves to appease me. If we are not aligned, then there's no point in getting in a relationship. If we are somebody who would rather live in our own space and be in our own, have our own environment, then we do that, you know? So the journey here is for you to gain clarity and take ownership of what it is you want, what it is you wish to experience in your relationship, and recognizing you are in charge. It all starts with you. You are the lead. Okay? And what you're leading the universe. Remember that you are, in fact, the center. Okay? You are the nucleus of this whole thing. So, there is you, and then there's the universe. You're the nucleus. You're the center. Okay? The nucleus refers to the cell. Every cell has a nucleus. You are the nucleus. And depending on what the nucleus does and wants, the program, it determines how everything else, how the entire cell moves. So when you recognize you are the nucleus, and then the universe will move based on what it is that you desire, then you recognize there is no blaming, other people. There is no blaming situations. Okay? There is no blaming politics. There is no blaming the economy. There is you. Now, not to say that these things don't exist. They exist. But what I'm saying is you adapt to them. They exist in relationship to how you identify with yourself. If you identify yourself as somebody who is affected by other people, you can't stand other people, you don't like people, this and that, guess what? Guess what kind of relationship you're going to have with people? Guess how impactful they're going to be on everything that you decide, because you are letting them have that label and that power over you. So then those people are going to affect you. If you say the economy is bad, this and that, tariffs and business and, everybody's trying to get the most, right? And they're not trying to look out for one another, whatever the case may be, then the economy is going to be a factor and is going to affect you. Whatever your situation is, whether it be your living situation, whether it be your financial situation, your health situation, if you make that a big part of your story, then it's going to continue to be your story. Politics as well. Doesn't matter which president we have. Some presidents, of course, are better than others, but people are still being successful. People are still finding happiness and fulfillment. People are still creating millions and billions and trillions of dollars, right? During that presidency. So it really doesn't matter what it is that's going on in politics, what it is that's going on in culture, right? Pop culture. When you start owning who you are as a divine being, the universe will follow. And all these things that can be factors are just simply, when I talked about the plane, let's see if I can draw this one better. right? That's a little better. The plane, as it is flying, right, and it is making these adjustments towards that destination, these adjustments are these very things, right? What happened in politics, what happened in relationships, what happened in the economy, what happened in your friendship, what happened to your mom, what happened to your dad. But you are remaining focused in going from one place to another. So you are determined to go from here to here, regardless of what is happening out here, because you are focused. And as long as you are focused, though, you want this to happen and it appear like this, the bottom line is you still make it to your destination. So don't quit on what you desire, just simply adapt. Now, the idea of quitting to me is interesting because I'm a person that I'm going to keep this up. I'm a person that if I really want something, if I really desire something, the idea of quitting is just not possible, right? So say you want money. We all want money. We all need money, right? So if you want money, you have to recognize that not having it is not an option. That's first. You may not have a lot of it in this current moment, but in order for you to eat, in order for you to live, in order for you to wear clothes, have a home, you need some level of money, or at least be with somebody who has enough money to have your back and support you, right? Now, business, I've done numerous businesses, right? Let's see, I'm trying to start as far back as uh tried to sell t-shirts. I tried, let's see, hypnosis business, massage therapy. I've tried, we can go Airbnb, smoothie shop. We can go recently, great books, spiritual education. Let's just stop there until I think of something, because I've done lots of different businesses. Drop shipping, right? Amazon, selling things on Amazon, right? So all these different businesses that I can remember, meaning that I did a lot more, is these. Now, here's the thing. People want to make money. And this is the world we live in, especially if you're in the, you know, European world where it's just like, yeah, people just want to make money, that Western mindset, capitalism, da 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 da. You want to just focus on making money. Let's make money. Let's get that bag, right? Now, the thing is, you can just simply focus on making money. And some people are really good at it, right? Some people are really good at just that's their skill set. And it doesn't matter what they pick, what they do, their joy is in making money. But for for most of us, we have to figure out what is the best way of making money that suits us. So for me, I've tried all these different things. T-shirts didn't work. Hypnosis was quickly successful, but didn't last. Massage therapy, I've worked a few jobs, worked in a few spas, things like that, but not as a business, right? I had a few personal private clients. Drop shipping didn't work. Amazon was pretty good, consistent. It was growing, But because of, let's see, a marriage at the time where my partner wasn't supportive of that business or any business in general, that went under. Airbnb, that was successful. Smoothie shop, it was successful, but COVID happened. So I had to shut that down. Books and educations, what I'm currently doing, successful. So let's get into it. Airbnb, this was a tiny house that I built. This was related to my passion. This was something that I actually enjoyed, and it was in high demand. People wanted to experience it. It was something cute. Smoothie, passion of mine, right? This was successful because the gym that I was working at as a CrossFit trainer, they had a space. I mentioned that I was going to get into a smoothie business, so they allowed me to use that space. So I already had customers, clientele, so to speak, what have you. But then COVID happened, just wasn't good timing. That happens, right? Then now we get into books and education, coaching, things of that nature. Successful, total passion of mine. Beyond passion, it goes into purpose. And this is what I want to get to. So there are different ways you can approach all these things and how you adapt and how you adjust. But particularly when it comes to business, you have to be mindful of how you attract money. Now, that all depends on you and your identity. So if you identify as somebody who just loves making money and that's something you're talented in and great at, good, go for it. Make your money. We find that all of our trillionaires, billionaires, well, there's no trillionaires yet, billionaires, millionaires, they are just good at making money, whatever it is that they do. But again, establish that most of us are not like that. So if we try to start a business and it's not working, there's a few things. There's a lot of things we got to consider. Okay, why? Why isn't this working? Is it your intention? Is your intention only to do this to make money? And if that's the case, and you're not making money and you're not successful, then you might need to change that intention. You might need to get clear that that's probably why you're not successful, because that's all you want to do is just make money. And that's all you're using the business for is to make money. And if you're not just having a natural talent of making money, then it's going to be difficult for you to break through and actually do it. So here's where you start to make adjustments. Here's where you start to pay attention. Like, okay, what is it then do I need to fix, change, and let go of, or include or bring in? Is it the product, right? Is it the people, meaning the market? Is it marketing? This for me is the biggest thing. My intentions is always to support, bring joy, bring wisdom, bring upliftment to people. Making products, not a problem. When it comes to books and education, talented. I love doing it. I enjoy doing it. I'm always proud of my results. The people, they're there. There is a market for it. But my weak spot was the marketing. And so even now to this day, I am always trying new things with my marketing. All right. With how I am bringing my products to people. So that way they know about it. If you got a business and the business isn't working, you have to ask yourself why. Is it one of these things? Okay. Or it could just be you maybe being lazy, right? Possible. And when I say lazy, I don't mean that in a very, like a lot of millionaires say, oh, it's good to be lazy, do less, make more. What I'm saying is you're not engaging with your business. You're not being proactive with it. You're not, giving it what it needs to grow. You're just putting up a website, putting up a few posts and saying, okay, I have a business. Why is nobody selling? Why is nobody buying? Why is nobody grabbing this thing, right? Or it's because the market, or it's because of politics or the economy or this and that, where it's like, well, everybody else is still making money. All the businesses are not shutting down. Therefore, there must be something that you can do. There must be some way that you can adjust and you can align yourself with the desire that you have. So I know this is like all over the place. And like I said, I didn't come in with no real outline. I just wanted to show you that with everything that you desire, you must be willing to adapt in order to get it. There are so many factors in play when it comes to the manifestation of your desire. You know, some people make this, the person that actually started this conversation for me, they were wondering, okay, well, why is it that people, he used the expression, or she, throw spaghetti on the wall and expect results? First of all, I hate that expression. I get it, but it just sounds ridiculous and silly. Or why do people do the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result? Well, what appears to you as the same thing over and over again, actually for them is not. So for example, for me, I do my YouTube videos. I do them 5 times a week. Okay. My videos by no means gets thousands and thousands and thousands of views. Now, so why? And I have almost 1,000 videos, maybe almost 2,000 videos up, including shorts. So people may say, well, why are you doing it? And what do you need to do to change, right? Because there is a stigma as to what and the amount of subscribers or views you're supposed to have. Now, for me, my intention is training, is practice, is to get better. To get better, to train myself, to speak better, to practice, educating people on the material, to get better at being a speaker, at being a teacher. But also selling, right? Selling my courses, selling my products. Now, if I make one video and it gets 1 view, but it sells me 1 book, I'll take that, right? That's not a bad thing. That same video next week could get 50 views, okay? And then potentially sell me 10 books. That video next month can do more, right? The thing about YouTube is always an opportunity to get exposure on one video, no matter how far back you make it. Now, here's the thing as well. Some people are really caught up in the whole YouTube world, so they think, well, your videos are not performing well. You have to change how you do it. And that is something that I've done. You go and you look at my old videos. There are videos where I have a, background where it's just a spiritual image and me talking, looking at the camera. There are videos of me standing in front of my desk with a spotlight on, or ring light on, with a background of, my Buddha with the lights. Sometimes I still do that one. Now I'm doing this with the whiteboard. You make small pivots. So in other words, what I'm saying is I am still doing YouTube. It's just a matter of deciding how I'm going to do it. Okay. In order to get a particular result. If I'm getting the result, fine. Okay. How do I scale that? How do I get slightly better in the thing that I'm doing, the medium by which I am sharing my information, sharing knowledge about my books? So you try slight adjustments, Just like when I said about flying a plane, just like what I said about walking and taking steps. You are constantly in a space of making calibrations, recalibrations. Life is all about that. That's what life is. So when it comes to you and your health, in your relationships, in your business and money, you have to figure out what aligns with you. What aligns with you? What sounds good to you? What is fun for you? Okay. Do the work. Be consistent, right? Keep going. Just make the small adjustments. What you want is you want to get 1% better every time. When I used to work out every day, this is what I told me. When I was working out CrossFit, this was a motto. Today, I'm 1% better than I was yesterday. That carried over into everything else. So that's all you got to do. You just got to focus on making these small adjustments. You know what? You can throw the spaghetti on the wall. Okay. If you're an artist, that might be a good idea. If you're not an artist, right? Or if you're just somebody who's just trying to figure it out, guess what? Sometimes you got to throw the spaghetti on the wall to get started and to recognize, I don't like spaghetti on my wall. That is something. That is still information. That is still data. Now, if you keep throwing spaghetti on the wall and you're trying to sell a book, those things may not connect. Over time, you realize that. So you have to just trust your intuition. You should just have to trust your mind, man. Like, you just use your mind and just say to yourself, well, if a business is what you want and what you see for yourself as far as being successful, all you have to do is recognize, okay, how does the business work? Okay, you have a product or service, right? It comes down to those two things. A product or service you have is you want to get in front of people and you want those people to buy it. You figure out how to do that. You connect with the people and then you share with them over and over and over again. You are consistent. And then whatever you're sharing with them consistently, if it's not getting you the results that you want, then you make those adjustments. You are simply flying from one destination to the other. Life is lifing, okay? But you still get there. Don't make all of those other situations and external things be your reason why you shouldn't do it. If anything, those are the reasons why you should. Because if you're on a spiritual path, like you should be, if you're watching me, then you recognize that all those outside things that I wrote down before, those things are just reflections of you. Those things are just simply indicators, right, that you don't have 100% faith in yourself and you don't recognize that you are the center of the universe, that you are divine and a divine being, that you are an individual expression of God and pure consciousness. So all that you desire consists of you sticking with it. Can you imagine, okay, somebody like me who as I've demonstrated, done a lot of things in order to make money. What hit me was that one, I already wrote down consistent, but one was that I kept changing, right? I kept saying to myself, well, this is not making me money, so I'm going to stop. I'm going to quit. Okay. Here's the thing. And this makes sense. I'm sure it'll make sense when I say it to you, but for some reason we forget it when we're in it. What money do you make when you quit? Like, how much money can you make when you quit a business? Guaranteed, you're going to make $0 when you quit a business. But if you continue to move forward in that business and make adjustments, how much money can you make? Infinite, right? It's infinite. The possibilities are infinite. So if you continue, right, and you make the adjustments, the possibilities are endless. You just simply have to make the adjustments. It's not hard, right? The adjustments in itself is just meaning that you are looking at what you're doing and what you love doing or what resonates with you. And then you're observing. You're observing what everybody else is doing, is giving you ideas to try something different, right? Not to be a clown, not to do what's trendy, not to be dancing in the videos, right? But to actually just say, oh, you know what? I like that. Maybe I can try a little bit of that, implement it into my marketing, into, how I communicate and address things. But for sure, if you quit, you ain't making no money. So continue, make the adjustments, and make infinite amounts of money. Now, lastly, how would you like to make your money? Would you like to make your money doing something that you don't love? Or would you rather make your money doing something that you do love? And this is the thing that hit me, was like all the businesses that I've tried, they were exciting, right? But the reality is I didn't love most of them. And I determined what that was by asking myself, what could I do? What could I do forever? What could I do forever and still enjoy, right? And still enjoy with or without money. This got into my talent. This got into my passions, because I was jumping around from one thing to another, just because I'm trying to make money. I want to make money. I want to make money. So I'm jumping from this to that, to this, to that, chasing the bag. But that's not how we attract money. We attract money, one, by recognizing that we are money. But two, we have to tap into our innate talents, our passions, our desires. When we do that and we actually move forward in actually creating that, expressing that, sharing that, that's when we bring value to people. Okay. So you have to be able to do something indefinitely. Okay. Because that makes this whole jumping around, this whole impatience of making money or finding the love of your life or getting the health that you want, whatever it is, you find a thing that you can do forever. So if it's health and you say, you know what, I can walk forever, then walk, right? If you say, you know what, being in a relationship, there's certain things I can't do, but certain things I can do forever, then find that person that resonates with that kind of relationship. Boom. Business, same thing. Money, same thing. You find out what it is that you can do forever, create that as a business, right? Monetize it, and you just simply do what you love, right? Which is already means that you are winning. And then as you continue to doing it, because you love doing it, you love sharing it, you love talking about it, guess what? That is called branding, right? That is called branding. And then you've established yourself in the eyes of people who see you, like you, want to follow you as the person who sells this, does this. And they will ask you, right? They will want to spend money on you. That's how you create money. That's, to me, I find, and this is my personal story, is that is how I've created the most money, how I've attracted the most money. And since I know and understand it, now I have the formula to create millions of dollars. You know what I mean? So you have to figure that out for yourself. Are you somebody who can just simply make money? Then if you are, this wouldn't even be a conversation for you. You wouldn't even be watching this video. But if you're somebody who, like most people, you have to figure it out, right? You have to adjust, you have to maneuver, you have to gain clarity about yourself. Then you always go to what you love. That's it. You always go to what you love. You figure out, okay, how can I monetize what I love, turn that into a brand, and then create products and services from that brand to make my money. And then the thing is, because you're willing to do this forever, there's no rush. So there's no issue of being impatient. There's no issue of, but the economy, but politics, but people. If you are doing what you love, then it is not about people. It is not about the circumstances or the situations. It is simply you aligning with you and what your purpose is. All right. That's what I'm going to stop there, because even though I did not plan for this conversation today, it has gone longer than most of my videos, ironically. I hope this helps you. I hope this gives you some real perspective and that you're not caught in a space of creating excuses. Because if you're somebody who's creating excuses, then guess what? Those excuses are going to be your story, and they're going to create your reality in your universe. Do not get caught up in that. Only recognize one thing out of this conversation. Do what you love, okay? And then from that, you create a brand, and that will bring you the money. You know, it's simply that. It all comes down to love. It all comes down to what you are gifted in, you being your authentic self, and how to share that authenticity with the world. All right? All these things come together well. You see? So, different kind of video, but I hope it helps. This is what I usually do. When somebody leaves a comment in my videos and I feel like it's very important and it's something that's positive, but something that I feel like can support others, I'll make a video on it. So if you feel like you have some concerns or some thoughts and you want me to elaborate on it, leave a comment in the comment section, and I'll make a video on it, because that's what I usually do. And it doesn't bother me that it's all over the place, or, you know, because I'm coming from just authenticity and just pure inspiration. But I think it's important that you know that, hey, you know, you may be like, oh, I can't afford to hire you as a coach, or, you know, I'm not committed to buy your book yet, or whatever. Well, you can just simply write a comment, and I'll do my best to support you in making a video for whatever it is as it pertains to spirituality, you know, as it pertains to you achieving alignment with your future self, and understanding that you definitely are meant to be the version of yourself that has it all. But you just have to let some things go in order to make that process a lot smoother and easier. Feel free to go to futureselffrequency.com. You can pick up the book and the journal together as a nice bundle. All right. And I look forward to sharing with you some more tomorrow. Thank you so much. Peace and abundance always.